Presented by The Hockey Shop. Source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. This is InGoal Radio, the podcast. Welcome back in, everybody. David Hutchison, Kevin Woodley, the co-founders of InGoal Mag. We are looking at the Olympics. The women's tournament is underway. The men are arriving. This is going to be fun.
Can't wait. How's that for deep analysis?
That was great.
Yeah. I'm the anti-Woody.
Listen, I got tasked with pre-Olympic breakdowns, so I'm in the midst of them right now. So I'll be excited once those are done and the games start and I can just enjoy it. Right now, it's just no sleep, buried in data, having a good time with that.
Are you doing all goaltenders for every team?
Just the NHL ones, because I couldn't find some of them without a map beyond that.
Right.
And that's with all due respect. I just would never be able to find the video or the data that would allow me to do it productively. And so I have access to, obviously, footage and goal footage at the NHL level, and it's still a monumental task with that. It would be impossible to try and do it without some type of proprietary access to outside video.
On our list of things to get to today, the NHL Century feature interview Peter Budaj from the Anaheim Ducks. He has an Olympic connection. I just love watching the Olympic Winter Games and the enthusiasm from the athletes and the fans. And it can be from any sport, but you look at the start of the women's tournament and you're reminded that we're going to see some really cool setups at this 2026 game.
Well, how about pretty much the debut of CCM Tax and Alpha Surge? Like, not only are you seeing some great setups with the CCM all-out graphics, but and Bauer too with the Digiprint, but you're also seeing like two entirely new lines basically make their debut, at least publicly. We know of one NHL goaltender that's been wearing Tax all year, but skinned as Axis. But you're basically seeing two new lines that'll launch this spring on the international stage as well. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's an exciting time, and I love watching all the new gear. But it's interesting how, like, have you guys noticed how little goalies need to wear this stuff in the NHL before they go over? Like,
well, some guys wear their stuff once in a morning skate and wear it in a game now. And
that's, like, it's funny because we've just accepted that as the new norm, right? Like, you're right. It is. That's, I was talking to Wade Flaherty and he's like, his guys use, I think, Hellebuck's 3, Comrie's 3 or 4 skates. But if Connor gets a pair that he likes, he'll wear it in morning skate and wear it in the game at night. And like that increasingly is the way of the world in the National Hockey League. But the last time that the NHL was in the Olympics, and yeah, it's 12 years ago. I guess that's a long time for these changes, but I talked to Ryan Miller, and he was basically Buffalo Sabres gear with pad skins. If you remember the 2010 games here in Vancouver, Miller in the gold medal game wearing Buffalo, he may have been playing for Team USA, but he was in blue and yellow pads, Buffalo Sabres colors. Henrik Lundqvist told me that in 2006, he wore the same blocker for the entire season. And the equipment manager, TPS blocker, the equipment manager for the New York Rangers, covered up the red with yellow for the Olympics. And then he went to a red and white set instead of red and blue after the Olympics. And he switched it over to white. So same blocker for the entire season, including winning the gold medal at the Olympics. Like, it wasn't always the case that guys were able to just wear equipment once and feel comfortable going on the ice. Like, this is a sort of new development. So theories, guys? I mean, I kind of cheated. I asked Lundqvist and Miller, so I've got ideas. But any theories? What do you guys think that is?
Well, you got more consistent manufacturing for sure, because it's not just sewn by hand in somebody's basement. You've got guys wearing much stiffer gear than they wore in the past. So when you're wearing stiffer gear, I don't know what it is that you're trying to break in. With gloves, we see an increasing attention from the manufacturers to having a broken-in glove when it's delivered. People like you and Cam sit there and play with the gloves in reviews and insist that they have to be ready to play as soon as they hit the shelf. And as a result, the manufacturers are accommodating all that. So I think the manufacturers are just doing a great job of producing gear that can be worn right away.
That is definitely part of the answer. You hit two of the main points there, Hutch. at least from the answers I got from Henrik and Ryan Miller. And the manufacturing process obviously changed. Remember, Bauer kind of changed the manufacturing process with how they build a pad, taking a core and wrapping a skin around it as opposed to inserting internals into a core. The stiffness of the pad, which means that the pieces going into the core, like it's just easier to sort of put those pieces together and have them all sort of be consistent. You're right on the glove manufacturing. That's definitely one of it. Those are all key points. And stiffness is a big thing, for sure. Goalies want it to be super stiff now. Like, there are very few goalies left in the league that wear a soft pad. Like, even if you look at like the E-Flex line in the National Hockey League, Dustin Wolf is the only one that's sort of soft. Everybody has a soft boot flex, but he's the only one that's sort of soft in the thigh rise. Everybody else, like, stiff thigh rises are the standard. And so in the old days, you used to have to break it in to get it soft and comfortable to where you wanted it. Nowadays, everybody wants it to be stiff, so it's actually probably better to have a fresh set out of the box. Any other theories, Darren? Putting you on the spot, buddy.
No, I like this the stiffness side of it. Whether the pad can bend or move with you is irrelevant now. It just moves around you. So the pads are a non-factor. You only really wear the pads once to confirm that they're good. That's the only reason why you do wear them once in a practice or a skate, and then you can wear them in a game. Gloves are a little different story. You can work on that a little bit behind the curtain and just make sure that the glove closes all right. But just advances in materials. That would be my biggest take on it is what the manufacturer can work with to make them easier and better right out of the box.
Well, or you can be like Carey Price, right? Remember, stick it in the skate oven.
Yeah,
just get it ready to go. There's one more, and I'm cheating here because again, I have all the answers, so I like making myself look smart, that we haven't talked about. And one of the reasons that guys are so used to brand new equipment and comfortable playing it so quickly is because they get so much more of it compared to 10 years ago. That was going to be my
third answer, I swear. But you're probably
I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought of that until talking to these guys, and Ryan Miller in particular, like, because he played with John Gibson. And there were some issues the 1 year. They were just trying to kind of dial in something for him. But 1 year he went through 34 gloves, I was told. That's not from Ryan. That was from another source. But Ryan pointed to how often he goes through gloves and uses.
I can confirm that, courtesy of the secondhand market, the resale market.
They're everywhere.
New used. There's the same thing on Ryan Miller gloves, and there was like 20 of them.
Honestly, like, goalies are getting, I think it depends because I'm not going to say which team or which goalie, but I walked into a visiting locker room recently and the goalie had the puck out. Like, he had his own supply of puck out and he was wiping puck marks off the pads. And I'm like, really? I didn't think, I got no problem with it. We know a lot. We've heard the stories about Spencer Martin and Vaseline and other guys using this, and some guys don't want puck marks. Yaroslav Halak, most famous example. So I get it. But I just said, hey, like, I didn't think of you as one of those guys. And he basically said, well, on this team, they don't buy me that many new pads, so I got to take good care of them.
I remember that, having to have his credit card on file at Brian's.
Yeah, well, that was Halak's. That was Halak's decision in terms of the credit card on file at Brian's. But it's totally changed. Like 12 to 14 sets of pads. I've heard several examples of that over a season. That's more than one a month. They get special events and dark jerseys here in Vancouver. The Canucks have the black skate jerseys. So the goalies obviously don't want to be wearing, green and blue and white pads with black skate jerseys. So that's automatically a second set, maybe two, depending on how often you wear them in a year. But goalies get new equipment all the time. And Ryan Miller used to say, like, coming out of college and into pro, it was like maybe 2 sets of gloves for the year. Now guys are getting up into the teens and some, as I said, even higher. So when the manufacturers are nailing your fit and feel every time, and you're used to that as your base level, Ryan said when he was earlier in his career, he got used to a base level that was broken in because he got used to the glove that you've been wearing for 2 months. He says his hands are a mess now, and he wished maybe he'd switched more often and not taken so many stingers in the palms, but that was just what you were used to. And nowadays, what guys are used to is brand new out of the box, in part because they get so much of it.
I was thinking about the so many sets of gear in a different way, Woody, and I guess you're just saying they're used to receiving it new. I was thinking when you can have so many sets of gear, I certainly know of people who are, rotating through 2-3 sets at a time so that they have, practice sets, game sets, and so on. So you can just always have the rotation going.
We see some of that. Remember Jimmy Howard? We did the story on Jimmy Howard. He'd have 3 sets, and he'd have like a first period, second period, third period set, or maybe the first period was also the third period, and second was also OT, and they had him on the glove jar. But you get a set of gloves to a state. We had guys that would be like, okay, I got these gloves perfectly where I want them. I'm not going to use them in practice. I'm going to have another set in practice so that I can keep this set as close to perfect. There's still some of that around the league, but I think overall, just these guys' ability to, like Lucas Dostal's true set, which is sick, by the way. I think he only wore it like once he arrived, or maybe one practice with Anaheim. And if you look around the league and you start talking to guys, I talked to Elvis Merzlikins, was kind enough to return a message. Kevin Lankinen about, hey, how many times did you wear it? Like, it's 1, 2, max 3, and they're ready to go. And it's just, I think a lot of young goalies are like, oh, that's just the norm, right? And it's really not. Like for a long time, it wasn't. So I found it a fascinating discussion, and there were certainly elements of that discussion that I hadn't thought of. There were also some interesting things that came out of it. There are evidently skaters, so we're not going up through the goalie union here, but there are evidently skaters in the league that won't wear the same pair of skates twice.
What?
That's what I was told. I started digging around and asking different.
What shocks me is
you mean by game, not game and practice, do you?
I'm assuming by game, but I didn't clarify.
It's by game.
It's by game. So Darren's confirming that I'm not wrong here.
And that's been around for a while.
See, I didn't know that.
I'm shocked. Wow.
Like that's $1,000 a game for your skates. Although I guess that's just 2 sticks, 3 sticks nowadays. So it is
true.
Amazing. You get used to it, right, Darren? Like if you're used to the super stiff skate and how it feels right out, like we're just that is part of the reason we're seeing this trend. Not to that degree in goaltending. Can you imagine a new glove every game? Boy, the used market would just the old pro return market would be on fire for that one.
Okay, on the player side, I know of guys who they get their Olympic kits because around our group, guys are wearing gloves and pants at practice leading up to the Olympic games, just to get used to it. But some players didn't, and they're like, I like new gloves. I would wear new gloves every game if I could. So I'm not going to wear them a couple of times at practice here before I get over there. I want them to feel brand new when I get over there on a player side, which I kind of didn't expect that side of it. And when we're talking about goaltending equipment and breaking it in, I would assume all of the goaltenders would just wear shells over their pants and not wear brand new pants at the Olympic Games, or Federation pants, because that would be something you would want to wear a few times in a practice or a game, right?
I would think so. Depends on actually, there's a really good question. I know guys that hate pant shells. They find that they feel restrictive.
Lots of guys. Yeah.
Like just hate them. So I would think that goalies might want to take the chance to break in a new set, Darren, although you're right. I never even thought to ask about that. And interestingly enough, same with chest protectors. And I think most people will be like, oh, you're just going to wear the same one you're wearing in the NHL. And I think most guys are. But I don't think I don't know if you could go full KHL yoga blocks under the, stuffed into various parts of the gear. But I don't think there's sizing charts at the IIHF like there is in the NHL. Like if I'm not mistaken, you don't have a 9-inch rounded barrel mandate on pants in the IIHF. You don't have the same sizing. Like I think goalies from the NHL, if they wanted to, could probably look a little bigger at the Olympics than they do when they're playing in the NHL by wearing a size up.
Interesting.
And I don't think anybody has in the past. And maybe that rule has shifted. I got to be careful here, especially at the end of a week that started with me going on radio with some bad intel talking about, is the trapezoid in the Olympics? It is, folks. I'm an idiot.
Yes,
Momentary slip. But, it's interesting. Like that balance between comfort and performance, right? I thought more goalies might bulk up the last time this was an option. And I remember talking to them afterwards, almost none did. And so here we are 12 years later. I'm guessing the same thing will be in effect.
Akira Schmid got his new True Gear for Team Switzerland.
How many times did he wear it?
He wore the gloves in 2 skates, I believe. 1 for sure, but I believe it was 2 skates. I didn't see him wear the pads.
I did see a picture of him wearing the pads, I thought. So...
But that's it wasn't a handful of times by any means.
Well, see, and this is great. Like, the truth is, the reason this is such a big issue is not just because new things fascinate me and because I wasn't aware of some of the, just thinking about it and how big a shift it had been. It's because they're making me look bad. Because that was always my excuse, because we're always getting new goal at InGoal magazine to test. And I could walk into the locker room knowing I'd probably suck that night and just say, hey guys, I'm testing new equipment.
New gear.
So new gear, blame it. Now I can't blame anything on it. So that's just me sucking again. So damn you, Olympians.
I got the new CCM upper body. And I will say this, thanks to you guys. It's so different than the last. Now I had my last one for a while. And that was slightly used when I got it. The break-in period was like non-existent. It was so easy.
And Darren, that's a sort of, I don't think they use this term on the CCM models. They used to use it with Vaughn, but it's the quote-unquote pro beef version. You got the Western Hockey League / NCAA beefed up, more protection, more padding version, and it still was out of the box easy. And by the way, good tease for the gear segment, because that's the feature item in this week's gear segment, are these CCM chest protectors.
It was perfect. I was blown away by how easy it was to move around in. So that's another advantage that they have if they do want to change an upper body. But pads, I think you just wear it to make sure that all the strapping is where the strapping should be. And that's it.
They didn't accidentally shorten your shin and make your knee rise land at a different place.
Something like that. But there'd be no other real reason to go out there. No performance benefit.
Well, let's be honest.
Go out wearing it.
Let's be honest. I take them out of the box and just go straight on the ice and play. It doesn't affect my performance. So practically an Olympian.
Yeah.
We're doing a great job of helping all the families with kids who now have to say, oh, but mom, I need 17 sets of gloves every year. It's just, if I'm going to feel right in it, that's just the way it's done.
Yeah,
just
that's not,
Kevin.
That's not the reality for most. And it's interesting because the extremes that we've gotten to amongst a bunch of the people I talked to, including some equipment staffers, the word wasteful was used more than once.
Well, yeah, because it's still good.
Yeah, and you're going to wear the equipment manager.
You're going to wear it for a week.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
If you're the number 1, you're going to wear it for a week. If you're the 3, you might never get a chance to use it in a game.
Yeah, it's the Olympic gear for sure. It's but I mean the one skate per game one, that one really shook me.
That shakes me big time.
I can't believe you're surprised at that.
I did see Darren. You're on the inside.
I can't understand. I honestly, I've heard of junior players get a set of skates a year at least. And I can't imagine even wanting to do that. To me, that is the piece that needs to feel perfect all the time. And I'd rather wear an old pair of slippers, so to speak, than a brand new pair of skates. So it blows me away.
Yeah, it's again, that shifting mindset, right? You get used to stiff, super stiff, and you don't want it broken down. It's a fascinating
and I've not had the
discussion.
custom skates that we have today either. So
the skate oven is the most used item by an NHL team.
We have multiple now, just like families that entertain and are wealthy.
You're baking skates every day for guys to put them on.
I guess, yeah.
It's amazing that in today's technology that you still have to bake your skates. You'd almost think you'd get to the point with all the 3D scanning that it would be perfect for you.
I don't think you have to with all brands.
No?
No, I think the process they use for customization is different. So
I don't believe you, because you were surprised that people would just use them one and go.
He's lost all credibility.
Yeah,
I've been in one factory and I've seen how it's done. So
what you get in this tournament, the men's and the women's, is high intensity and massive drama. And in the men's tournament with the 3 pools, if you don't perform well in one of those pool games and you slide down in the qualification seeding, you could have a big time challenge coming through a qualification game just to get to the quarterfinal.
That's why you need a goaltender who embraces pressure. And I think I found one. So what's the best part of the Olympics? Let's ask Henrik Lundqvist.
I always felt pressure playing in New York, but going to Olympics, it was just a lot of excitement. Also to break it up. You play a lot every other day and you have your routines and schedule here, and then you go to a tournament like that. It's an opportunity to get to know all the other players that you play against and have so much respect for and for your country. So it's a combination of a lot of things, but it's just overall amazing experience and excitement around it. But I don't think I felt more pressure. I've always felt pressure playing. But it was just that pride you felt wearing the jersey. That's why I started playing the game, watching the national team on TV. So I have that opportunity in the big tournaments like the Olympics is always special. And just obviously going into those quarters, semis, finals, it's just one game. So, that's where the pressure comes in. It's kind of playing to reach the final. You're playing 3 game sevens because it's just one game. It's do or die. And you need to make sure you optimize, whatever you're doing. But that itself made it also very exciting.
Olympic gold medalist.
I know Olympic gold medalist. I have his jersey hanging on my wall behind me from the Olympic gold medalist. And guess what I learned this week? He wore one blocker the whole season, and including for the Rangers and the Olympics, the old TPS blocker. So every time you now see that picture of him celebrating with the arms up in the air, I can picture it. Know that that's not actually a Swedish blocker. That's a New York Rangers blocker.
Wow.
With little pad skins. I don't even think pad skins existed in 06. Some version of
what did they use? That's interesting.
He used the word, I think Ryan Miller used the word stickers, but he would have had pad skins by 2014. So
lead tape.
Duct tape way back. It wasn't much longer than that. I was using duct tape on my kids' stuff.
The idea that you would wear one blocker the entire season is like mind-blowing and slightly concerning from an injury perspective.
Well, and the other thing that's changed now is the expectation that you pop out these giant rebounds. Like, guys can put pucks over the glass with their blocker now, and if it was a season in, there's no way it would. I took a blocker we had here, and we got a brand new blocker board for it, and I think the one that had been used for about half a season of minor hockey, relatively high level, was about half the width of the brand new blocker board.
So
the foam's compressed so much.
I will say this. I don't remember whether the TPS blocker in 06, because I have trouble remembering what I had for breakfast this morning, and that was 20 years ago. I don't remember if it had a zipper and you could pull it out. But I didn't ask him whether he changed the board in that blocker. He just said it was the same blocker.
Yeah.
So poor journalism on my part. I should have followed up. But hey, anytime you get a chance to talk to Hank, that's good.
That is good. I took one off the blocker yesterday, and it was perfect, but it hurt. Like it was right in the middle of the blocker, and I could feel it. It hurt. I'm like, wow, it's amazing how fast they can shoot the puck now.
Yeah, well, you're facing guys that are a little better than the rest of us, but still, I took one off the blocker recently, and I was like, I felt it, and I didn't think anything of it, and then like the next day, I was like, there's something wrong with that knuckle, and it didn't work properly for 2 weeks, although I'm old and weak and soft and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with Hank being an Olympic gold medalist, it reminds you that Canada and the U.S. Haven't just dominated when NHLers have been in the tournament. Canada's won more gold than anybody else, but this tournament is open up beyond the two North American countries. Who do you think could potentially challenge the two heavyweights?
You know what? I don't know. Like
Sweden has that blue line that is all globe, all solar system. It's so good.
Yeah, and obviously, again, Sochi in the final was Canada-Sweden, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't even bring that up on a night where we had Henrik Lundqvist even for a 1-minute clip on the podcast because he was on the wrong end of that one. The guy over my right shoulder was on the right end of that one, the signed Price jersey. Like, I think of it, like, if you were thinking blue lines and total picture, yeah, absolutely, the Swedes. If I'm thinking a goaltender who's going to mess up somebody's Olympic campaign, whether it's like you said, with a surprising win against a heavyweight in the round robin, or knocking somebody out when they were underdogs in the elimination rounds. I can't help but think of Lucas Dostal.
Yes, that's where I was thinking
and
too.
the Czechs. Yeah. Like his season, there's ups and downs in it, and it grades out. It's still good, but like it's not like he's in the running for the Vezina this year. But man, he has moments where he just takes over games and frustrates opponents. And you've seen how many times the Ducks have been badly outshot this season, and they win 2-1 or 3-1, and you look and it's like, 40 plus saves for Lucas Dostal, and the other team's just shaking their head at the end, talking about not being able to solve them. Like, he's got that sort of game stealing. His ceiling is so high. When he's on, he has that ability to absolutely steal games. And I think in a lot of ways, frustrate teams to the point where they can come outside of their game. Now they're missing Pavel Zacha, who was a late scratch or drop because of injury of the Bruins, and that makes them thin at center ice. But man, just goalie stealing a game, give me Lucas Dostal.
Finns will be in it, but they've got some injuries too. But there is a big five factor with the Olympic Winter Games and the men's tournament over there. But have fun, enjoy, everybody. The different setups by the goaltenders. It will be really cool to watch. A little bit of surge in your fashion sense of goaltending. Seeing some of these new takes and spins on the federations. And that takes us into our gear segment presented by the Hockey Shop, source for Sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. I think I know where we're going this week now.
You do. We sort of teased it, although I thought when you said a little surge, I thought you were making reference to the history made by Martina Fidel of Italy, who we met at our Warrior shoot in Montreal in early December, because she was the first one to wear the Alpha Surge on the ice, and also in that game got the first win ever for the Italian women's national hockey team. So I thought you were going there. Instead, we're going to the Hockey Shop, source for sports, where my friend Cam, we talk a lot about all the new inventory they get, how they're always on top of it, have deep stockpiles, so they have all the sizes, a lot of colorways, like so many options, because they're such a big store. They've grown to such great heights and size, and we talk about the warehouse, all these things. We talk about the old stuff going on sale. We don't talk about enough. The fact that they understand the game and they know how to get their hands on custom stuff. We had the Bauer Pro Chest Protector, which was the NHL version that didn't get discontinued, but it was the first sort of attempt at it, and there was an update, so Cam got his hand on all the old ones, and they got them there exclusively. There's also a whole bunch of CCM chest protectors. And we're going to talk about that this week. There's a bunch of different models. They're not the newest models. There's some eFlex 6s. There's some Axis 2s like Darren's rocking right now. But they're all WHL/CHL specs, NCAA. Like, they have extra protection in them. And Cam is always looking out for those kind of things. So whether it's pro return sticks, beefed up chest protectors, custom options that you can't get anywhere else, make sure you check them out. The Hockey Shop, source of sports, thehockeyshop.com. Including this week's feature items that Darren can attest to, CCM's beefed up chest protectors.
Do you watch Ren and Stimpy growing up?
I don't think a lot of kids or people listening to this podcast will watch Ren and Stimpy.
Well, anybody that did, all I'm thinking right now is, you idiot!
Why is that?
We've already done all these chest protectors. Why did you bring them all out for me? We've talked about eFlex 5, we're on to eFlex 6, we got, what's going on?
Same, but different. Different.
Sam, why are there fight straps on all these chest protectors?
Well, to make sure you don't fight because you're not good at it.
Well, let me tell you, you're absolutely right there. Talk a big game, but let me tell you, there's no fight in this.
It's because we got some hidden gems in here.
Hidden gems.
Hidden gems. So,
fight strap is hidden.
Well, that's a kind of a little bit of a segue.
A tease.
A tease is that
so these aren't,
because these aren't our normal.
These are not
spec chests.
Okay, so these are special.
These are special, just like you.
Thank you. I am special.
Yes.
So, what makes them special? Like beyond the fight strap, which would indicate to me these are for a higher level of hockey.
Yes. So as opposed to your regular inline off the wall Axis, eFlex 5, Axis 2, and Oh, hold on.
Dropped one, didn't you?
E-Flex 6 as well.
Like, that's just one generation old.
Exactly.
That's actually one of my favorite chesties.
All of these feature thicker padding,
Thicker padding.
beefed up,
Fight
strap on the back.
So these are like college and WHL, like major junior units.
These are exactly what these guys are.
These are units.
These are units.
They're in a little bulk, a little protective.
And we have a plethora of them in stock here.
Not every size and every model.
No, that's not correct. That's we are missing. This, for example, this wonderful Axis 1 unit. Beautiful, much beloved chest by all.
Last one?
Last one.
What size?
Medium.
Okay.
So get that while that's hot. Moving on the line, though.
This thing's gorgeous.
So E-Flex 5, beefed up unit. This is a nice chest. The only downside is I've only got these left in XL, but I've got quite a few. So you bigger goalies, don't worry, we got you covered. You still have all of the same adjustability, all of the same fitment corks to the chest. Nothing else has changed that way.
It's just beefier.
Just beefier. And again, that addition of that fight strap. So XL.
So another like pop culture reference that the kids won't get. Where's the beef? It's all here.
That's going back. That is going back.
I'm that old, Cam.
So Axis 2. This one I really, really like. There's a lot of good mobility to this one. Improved overall fit with the, the fit hasn't changed at all, sorry. But the overall feel-wise with that extra beef up, definitely a great combination. Great unit for the guy looking for a little bit of extra size, but likes a little bit more of that snug-fitting chest.
Okay. And they're all on sale.
Large and XL here.
I was just looking at them like, these are all on sale.
They are.
So, savings,
Yes.
past generations, but beefed up for NCAA and major junior levels, extra protection, all available while they last. If you've got questions about sizing, you can't find out on the website, where do they get you?
604-589-8299 or 1-800-567-7790 or thehockeyshop.com. But David, show off the E-Flex 6 though.
Okay, E-Flex 6.
Most recent, quick, again, beefed up unit. I've got
It just looks the same except for the fight straps.
mediums and XLs in here. Get them while they're hot.
There we go.
Burning hot. On fire.
It's just light, too. Light. And you can adjust that thing every which way. I was finding straps 3 weeks after I first wore it, going, oh, I can adjust that. I can move that around. And the arms fit snug. It wasn't like my old one where I just like a barrel putting your arm through it. The arms really fit nice and tight. Really cool. I was surprised at how playable it was coming out of the box.
And right into NHL shooters too.
Mm-hmm.
And
even again,
you didn't find it heavier with the extra padding? It still felt like it. I guess when it's balanced, it doesn't feel too heavy.
No, it felt fantastic. And I'll take the extra padding all day long. Although I don't get hit as much as I would like to get hit. So I'm probably not the perfect test patient for this.
You need extra padding. Some of us have it built in, Darren.
The arms get hit, but the middle of my chest, I don't know whether that's got hit yet.
Oh, but remember the arms getting hit in the 80s, Darren?
Oh, the top of the shoulders or the elbows?
Oh, anywhere. I had practices in university wearing the old quilted arms. It was just brutal. I would have happily traded the gear we wore in the 80s for stuff that a 5-year-old wears today.
And I think that's why you saw so many pucks caught or blockered instead of absorbing it in your chest or having it go off your arm. You just naturally made sure you got a blocker, a glove, or both on it when it was coming towards you.
Yeah, no, the idea of putting your chest in front. We've had lots of guys discuss this, guys from the past generations. That changed the game. The ability to actually try and stop it with your torso on purpose rather than pulling it out of the way to try and windmill a glove in front of it because it would hurt so damn much if it hit you in the chest. That changed the position.
Just like Pro Rates, brought to you by Vizual Edge on InGoal Radio, the podcast, where we sit down with goaltenders every week and they walk you through the save selection. Our thanks for Vizual Edge joining us on this journey.
Well, if you want, like Darren Millard does every time he lines up against NHL shooters, you want the puck to look like a beach ball. We've all had those nights here and there where the puck looks huge, you're ahead of every play, you feel calm, patient, in total control. Then there are the nights where you're half step late, you see it, you don't see it, you're reaching, you're guessing, you're fighting it. That's how I play goal. But it's not your technique. It's your eyes and your brain not processing the play fast enough. Vizual Edge fixes that. It measures how well your eyes track and process the game, then gives you a custom plan that trains improvement. 3 15-minute sessions a week, on your laptop or tablet, laying on the couch, sitting at the kitchen table. Lots of options. It's what NHL goalies use to make the game slow down when it matters most. I forgot to ask him about it. We had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, Stuart Skinner, big Vizual Edge user. So shout out to Stuart for that. Didn't realize it at the time. You can get a discount, 10% using the code InGoal, INGOAL, all caps. Or if you're an InGoal Premium member, double your discount using our exclusive code that you can find on every Pro Reads over at InGoalMag.com, including this week's Pro Reads from Eric Comrie of the Winnipeg Jets on how to manage bumper plays when you're shorthanded. What do you think of the we talk a lot about elite bumper shooters in the NHL. We had one here in Vancouver. Bo Horvat was exceptional at it. As soon as they traded him, the bumper disappeared as a good option for them on their power play, and they had to change the way they were running it. That quick pass down low to the goal line and a quick low high out to a guy in the bumper. What do you guys think? Tips on how to play that?
Being able to read the play.
Be big.
Be big. Get hit.
Yeah.
Or in my
Stay
case,
in the center of the net.
Yeah, in my case, don't get hit. And that's what makes it complicated, because usually there's a lateral element, Hutch. Like, it's not just the low high, but it's not a huge lateral element, but it's a little bit of and of course, when that play goes down to the goal line, you have a decision to make. Do you go to reverse, knowing that if it goes back up to the bumper, you might be that much later to get there as if you stay on your feet? So there are a lot of different things you have to think about. And there are a lot of different factors that affect that decision. Handedness is one of them. Not just the shooter in the bumper, but the guy in the goal line. Anyways, we get into all of it with Eric Comrie of the Winnipeg Jets in this week's Pro Reads. Make sure you check it out at InGoalMag.com. And if you're a member, check out your double discount for Vizual Edge, which presents Pro Reads.
Hey, and if you're over at InGoalMag.com, check out the new Pro Reads page. Just click on Pro Reads on any menu, and you will be able to search by goalie, by type of play. In some cases, you'll even be able to call up relevant pro drills that fit the situation. We've done a ton to make it easier for you to find the kind of content that you need.
More great advice coming at you with the Stop It Goaltending You, the app parent segment with David. Stop It Goaltending You, the app, providing all kinds of support for goaltenders around the globe and at various skill levels.
25 years of NHL goalie coaching experience and expertise at your fingertips on the Stop It Goalie You, the app. That's what you get with the subscription. You tap into the goalie parenting expertise that helped Joey Decord reach the NHL. All the knowledge from Brian Decord, his dad, who has been an NHL goalie coach, scout, and director, as well as all the insights and expertise from his staff at Stop It Goaltending, which last year celebrated 25 years as one of the world's top goalie schools, and includes a long list of veteran NCAA coaches amongst its teaching staff, all delivered in easy-to-digest chunks, including 5 short daily primers every week, weekly style analysis, and breakdown videos, as well as drills that you can take onto the ice with your team and coach. Plus, you get an InGoal Premium subscription included with your subscription to the Stop It Goaltending You app. So check it out now at the App Store or Google Play and get the best of both worlds with the subscription to Stop It Goaltending You, the app, and an included subscription to InGoal Magazine Premium.
How are you going to help us this week, Hutch?
Darren, I often get my inspiration from questions from other parents around goaltending. This time I was walking the dog, listening to a podcast about not even another sport, but just sort of the concept of effort and how we expect kids to apply themselves and sort of think that they're going to get what they out of it, what they put into it. And I was thinking, I'm not sure that fits. You know, the message that you can do anything you want if just you put your mind to it. And it sounds really empowering for a kid, but I think that it can be dangerous because there are things in sport and life that are out of our control, no matter how badly we want them or how hard we work. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from enjoying the sport, but look, to use an absurd example, a jockey is probably never going to play in the NBA, and Shaq is never going to win the Kentucky Derby as a jockey, although to be fair these days, he just might win it as an owner one day. But that doesn't mean that effort doesn't matter. It means that effort is just one part of a bigger situation. In hockey, especially in goaltending, there are other factors that we don't talk about nearly enough, namely luck. You got to be in the right place at the right time, the right team, the right coach. There is far more luck in this game than I think many people are willing to admit. As a goaltender, you can train all the time, you can prepare properly, compete hard, be coachable, be a great teammate, and still, you might end up behind the wrong goalie on the depth chart. You might miss an opportunity because of timing or injury. You might get passed over because a coach wants something different. And of course, luck applies to every game as well. Two goalies are going to play the same shot identically, but sometimes the shooter hits his spot, sometimes he hits your glove. Sometimes that point shot gets blocked. Sometimes it hits two shin pads and a skate and ends up in the back of the net. Sometimes you face a third pairing D-man on a breakaway, and sometimes it's Connor McDavid. That's not a failure of your effort or your preparation. It's just reality. And the danger of saying that you can do anything you want if you want it badly enough is that when things don't go well, kids often turn inward and make assumptions. I must not have tried hard enough. And that can lead to guilt, shame, or a quiet sense, honestly, as they get older, that they've let everyone around them down, even when they've given the game everything they had. And that's definitely not what we want as parents. A better standard, a healthier one, I think, is give it your very best effort so that no matter how it turns out, you can feel proud and satisfied with the process. Similar advice I've given before, guys, about your games. Don't focus on the goals. Focus on analyzing how you played. Disappointment is still okay. Losing still hurts. Getting cut still stings. We're not trying to eliminate disappointment. That's part of caring. But we are trying to make sure that disappointment doesn't turn into regret or self-blame for a kid. When some kids understand that things are out of their control, they can learn an important distinction. I can be disappointed in the outcome and still proud of my effort. And I think that's a powerful lesson. In goaltending, again, you can control your preparation, your work habits, your attitude, how you handle adversity, but you can't always control timing, opportunity, what that puck is rebounding off, the coaching you're getting, just plain luck. And that doesn't diminish the work that you've done. It doesn't diminish what you've put into the sport. It just gives it some perspective. And as parents, our job isn't to promise outcomes or guarantee success. It's to help our kids pursue things bravely and honestly without tying their self-worth to results that they can't fully control. So instead of saying you can be anything if you set your mind to it, consider a message that prepares them for the real world of sport. Give it everything you have, control what you can, and if it doesn't work out the way you'd hoped, you can still step away from it proud. That's not lowering the bar, it's teaching resilience, and in the long run, that lesson's going to matter more than any single result on the scoreboard.
I like your idea, Eric, comment that you can play a shot the same way as the goaltender at the other end, and it more depends at times on the shooter whether they hit their spot perfectly or not.
100%, because there are lots of situations. Woody sent something around to us this week in our little group chat, didn't he, about desperation situations and just trying to get as much as you can into the middle of the net.
There's a Kira Schmidt diving save.
Yeah, and that's not, good on him for doing that, but the player who shot it into him is conspiring on that play too. It is not 100% on him.
I'm a firm believer you should always dive, just to make the coach think that you're trying.
Honest, I swear there are people that do that. Yeah, because if you play it conservatively, maybe even the best possible way, they might just say, oh, he's not trying hard enough. You got to compete.
You got to come outside your box.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Too technical. Although, hey, listen, there's something to be said for that middle of the net thing, man. Woo.
Oh, don't disagree with you at all, Woody. I'm just saying that's not 100% skill on a goaltender's part. It is great preparation. It is great tactically, but it takes two to make a big save there.
Yes, it takes a shooter and being afraid to miss an empty net.
The best part of the Schmidt save was he was, well, it was weird, strange, because he was diving to his right. Normally you see those diving saves going with your glove to the glove side. So he had to cross his body a little bit like a shortstop or second baseman, but he caught it right in the middle of the pocket. And there wasn't any added angst about where'd the puck go or do I got it? It was in there, and there was a big smile on his face as he slid to the ice.
Love the smiles. I'm good at the diving saves, the attempts, just less so at the actual saves.
This is the 50th anniversary of Daryl Sittler scoring 10 points in a game as we record this.
Amazing.
Yeah, I bring it up because of the timing of the Boston Bruins at the moment. Jerry Cheevers was coming back from the World Hockey Association, and I think it was his first game or second game back, and Don Cherry wasn't going to play him and didn't play him at all that entire game. Dave Reese was the goaltender for all 11 goals that Toronto scored on that night. Daryl Sittler was involved in 10 of them. He never played again in the National Hockey League. He had won a couple of games going into it. Boston was on a roll there, but that was it.
Probably went into counseling after that night.
Reminds me of, that's why I booed, because we can't be celebrating all these offensive accolades here as much as I love Daryl Sittler. Reminds me of Markstrom getting, it's funny because the narrative around Jacob Markstrom, his numbers are not great, but so much of that is basically they left him in for 2 terrible games where he had a tough night and everyone in front of him had a tough night. And so on his resume this year, he has an 8-goal game against and a 9-goal game against. Take them out, and all of a sudden, and you can't take them out. I know that. But so much of his down year statistically is basically 2 games out of the 40 or so that he's played. Well,
you could take them out and look at where the numbers would be without those 2, and be able to feel a little bit better. I mean that.
You could also say, hey, he had those 2, but it's interesting to me that the narrative on him going into the Olympics is so much about his numbers, and yet they're basically submarined by 2 goals on a guy who's played, a lot of hockey this year. It's interesting.
I wonder if guys should be left in to battle more than making the change.
Gosh, there's a fine line, isn't there?
There is.
There's a place where I absolutely think you should be left in to battle. And I think sometimes it's just, hey, gosh, you're talking about luck. And sometimes the first couple just go in and it doesn't mean you're off. It's just the way it is. And getting that opportunity, especially as a youngster, to learn to battle through things emotionally is incredibly important. But then there's a number after that it just starts to hurt, and it just starts to damage your confidence and the confidence others have in you. Gosh, I don't know where that number is. I can tell you in beer league, I wanted to skate off the ice when it hit 8.
Mm-hmm.
But, and every kid and every team and every situation will be a little bit different. But it's, especially with a young goaltender, you've got to bring them on very carefully. And I guess you just have to know the individual, because if you leave them in too long, you're going to destroy their confidence. If you yank them 5 minutes into the first period, you're going to accomplish exactly the same thing. So just defend better, and then it doesn't matter.
I was just going to say, I don't think you're ruining Jacob Markstrom's confidence. You're just submarining his.
No, but you know me. I always take the parent tack on things.
I just meant more, if you're going to ask your goalie to battle, I want to make sure that my team still actually has some battle in them. And when I watched back that Islanders game that got to 9-0, it was like tic-tac-toe all-star game out there. Just, Markstrom was playing behind, 7-0? The Washington Generals are only down by 7. It was just, they were zipping it around. And so he was maybe asked to battle through, but I didn't see anybody else on that Devils team with much fight in them by the end of it.
You wanted to leave after 8? I can't do that. I've got 45 minutes of ice left.
I know. I'm just saying that's the point where I just start to really be miserable. I think I could justify up to 7 and be like, I can take it.
I just want more of a workout than 15 minutes.
Yeah. And Kevin doesn't even know what 8 is, because he plays all these games up to 5 and then they switch ends.
Yeah, exactly. But I did have one recently About 3 weeks ago, where we were switching off, and we were switching early, and it was because of me. And
That's the worst. I do the same thing, games to 5, and that's the new way you do these pickup skates. And you want to win on the board early for yourself. You don't care about the teams, because we're independent contractors out there, basically in those situations. You just want one of those wins to 5 early on, so you can relax a little bit and you're not going 0 for that day.
Oh, I had a terrible. I was frustrated to Hutch's point about wanting to skate off, but like, this is a skate that I waited a lot of years to get invited to. Like, you can't quit, right? Like you can't just give up, because you won't get invited back. So it's tough to find that line when you're so frustrated and you can't try harder and you're trying to figure out the reset. That's on a Friday afternoon, so I don't know how these guys do it on the biggest stage. I guess that's why I'm playing beer league and they're playing in the best league in the world.
In that same type of format, I play a cumulative game along with the individual games, to try and, because sometimes it's a little lopsided between the two games. So I'm like, geez, I won 9-6 today. I may have lost the first one badly, but at least I won 9-6 on that day, which also gives you an idea of how my mind works. Maybe I'm worried about the wrong thing as I'm going through it. We got the NHL Sense Arena feature interview this week, chatting with Peter Budaj, who I knew way back when he was playing major junior hockey, believe it or not. And now he's a goaltender coach for the Anaheim Ducks, brought to us by NHL Sense Arena.
They are. NHL Sense Arena brings us all our feature interviews. And there are so many things in Sense Arena that makes it great, because they just keep stacking on the features. I just want to step back for a second and talk about something that they added in a little while ago. And that is to talk about the fact that great goaltending isn't just about movement. It's also about decision making, reading releases, managing traffic, tracking rebounds, and staying composed as plays evolve. And it all starts with how well your brain is trained. Yes, Sense Arena isn't just about taking shots, it's about training your brain. They've got hockey IQ at-home checklists. Those really stand out. They give goalies a clear, structured routine that can guide their mental training, predicting plays, anticipating shots, scanning the ice, making better decisions under pressure. Those short weekly sessions that remove the guesswork and help build habits that translate directly to game performance. They also offer the Hockey IQ Hub. This one's a free resource. It's got articles, insights, and tools for players, parents, and coaches who want to better understand and train the mental side of the game. You can explore the hub and download those checklists over at sensearena.com. And if you're thinking about a little meaningful addition to your hockey training as we head towards spring hockey, NHL Sense Arena is offering 50% off their annual plans. It's a training experience that will last all year long, not something that just ends up in a bag over on the shelf. It will make your goalie better, and they're going to have fun doing it. And don't forget to use the code IGM50 at checkout to save even more.
NHL Sense Arena bringing us our feature interview with Peter Budaj this week.
It's a good one. And we get into his playing career. We get into the transition to coaching. It's funny. I've been trying to get this interview for a while. First time we caught up since he transitioned into the Anaheim Ducks goalie coaching job. He'd been working in the American Hockey League before that. We just ran into each other at the rink and caught up. And the conversation, like his passion for the game and the position comes through. Like you will hear it instantly. We had this incredible conversation, and yet I didn't have a microphone going. I was like, we need to get you on the podcast and rehash all of this. And it took like almost a couple of years here, but we finally had time where we're both in the rink at a game after a morning skate and not in a rush to get somewhere else, or me on a deadline or him into meetings. And we had a chance to sit down for half an hour. From a playing career that almost ended a couple of times, but made its way back to finish in the NHL after stints in the American League, and the mindset advice that came from that, to what it's like to be a backup, embracing that role, playing with some of the best in the world and being careful not to try to do too much of what they do, the way he used physical conditioning to his advantage. There's just so much in this interview. So without any further ado, let's just get to Peter Budaj and a whole bunch of great lessons that goalies, goalie parents, goalie coaches should benefit from hearing. Really excited to welcome to the InGoal Radio podcast a guy we've been talking about getting on here for a little while. We finally caught up with him after an Anaheim Ducks morning skate. Goalie coach for the Anaheim Ducks, Peter Budaj. I want to talk to you about, silly, the position, but the transition to coaching from playing after all those years in the National Hockey League. Did you know this was the next step for you all along, or did you come to it over time?
Well, thanks first for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think it's great. I've been a fan of this magazine for a long time, and for the website and everything else. So, yeah, for me, after I retire, I kind of wanted to stay in the game, and I still love the game, and appreciate the game and what the game of hockey gave me, and I want to kind of give back, and also selfishly too, be around the guys, be around the locker room, and feel the camaraderie and everything else that the hockey game brings in. And I was very blessed that I was able to get here, and I'm here. So yeah, I don't know if that was always on the back of my mind, but I always wanted to be involved with hockey. I think originally I thought maybe some camps or doing the stuff like that, maybe some kids and helping them out and staying on the ice and doing that. But, this opportunity came to me, and, after I spoke with my wife, I thought it would be a good thing to do.
How is it different from this side? Like, when we talked during your playing career, you were a student of the position? Have you had to become more so, or are you just leaning on some of the things you learned then? Is it constantly evolving around you?
It's constantly evolving. I think just like anything right now in 21st century, especially hockey, the game's changing. It's becoming much, much faster. Players coming in the league, and this is no offense to the older guys, but the younger guys are, they have way more training, way more skill coaching, well more power skating when they're like, 12, 13. I have a 15-year-old and 10-year-old, so they are on the ice way more than I've ever been, or I'm sure the generation from before them, because everybody's on the ice, everybody's skilled. So the game is becoming very fast. The game's become more east-west game than compared to, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, it was more north-south. The plays there happening, it's, the hockey game is more designed now for scoring goals and situation power plays, skill plays, and everybody can make skill plays. You have players on the fourth line that can do all those Michigans or whatever it is called and all that stuff. So you have to evolve with the game, right? So I think, for goaltending, it's same thing. I obviously it helped me that I played, so I've seen such a situation before, but, I have to evolve too as a goalie coach too. And, trying to learn and study and be a student of the game. It doesn't stop because you played. You got to continue studying and as a coach and try to help your goaltenders to help the team to win the games.
Without giving away any state secrets, when we talk about the East-West and the speed of it, like, what do you see as the evolution on the other side? Like, how do we keep up as goalies?
I think absolutely number one for me personally, maybe I'm wrong, maybe people can disagree. It's skating. Your skating has to be absolutely amazing, I think, and I think that it has to be a constant work from early age and continue working on it once you either make it to juniors, to college, to pro hockey or to NHL. You got to continue on your edge work, on your skating, feeling comfortable because of the game is being so skilled and so east-west, you got to be able to beat the pass. You got to be able to stay with it. You have to be almost there before the pass happens. You have to be set and all that stuff. So I think skating is the number one thing in my opinion.
Have you seen the way goalies train skating change at all? Are we going back to a little more some of the old school stuff you might have seen growing up, like edge work, and I see things that are more outside the crease now, whereas I think when you came up, every time I watched goalie skates, it was in the crease, contained within the crease. There's more sort of, for lack of a better term, dynamic edge work stuff.
There's definitely that to it. And I think, I grew up back home and we had a goalie coach when I was a very little kid. His son I was on the team with him and I got lucky because he was our assistant coach when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, but he was an ex-goalie. I never played like high league, but he played, domestic league for men league and all that stuff. So, and he always said, the skating is the number one thing. So we did a lot of outside of the crease skating as well. I think crease skating is good when you're trying to hit your spots and do that, but you need to feel comfortable in your edge work first. I think that outside of the crease, like all those things that you see the goalies do, the shift weight or, edge work, Bobrovsky does it all the time. I'm going to use him as an example. He's like crazy in that. And, he does it religiously all the time, every practice, every pregame skate, every whatever. But I'm not saying that he's like the blueprint. Obviously, he's an amazing goalie, but I think he understands that his edges and his skating is what helps him to play better. That's why he continued working on it, right? And I think the consistency is what is the key to become a better skater. Once if you do it twice or 3 times a week, and that's not enough, depending on where you want to go. You got to continuously work on it all the time. It has to be everything. Then also you have to have your, off-ice workouts based on very specific goaltending off-ice workout too, because I think it's very important for goalies to be, in my opinion, one of the best shapes guys, because you are on the ice the entire game. You are on your feet the entire game. There is no time to rest. So you need to be there. And the players are so good right now, skilled, fast, speed, big shots are harder and harder all the time with the new sticks and new technologies and all that stuff. So you need to, not just keep up, but actually grow as a goaltender with your skating and with your everything else, what you do.
Fitness, something that you were ahead of the curve a little bit, like the old myth of goalies, throw the fat kid in net. I mean, we're a long ways away from that, but like I remember you, like fitness was something that you were ahead of, it felt like to me from the outside looking in, but just felt like that was something you were on top of from an early age, maybe at a time when not everybody was in the position, whereas now you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked to work out when I was a kid, and it was my parents, they told me if you want to be good at something, don't just try to be good, try to be the best you can, whatever you do. And doesn't not necessarily means that you are going to be the best, but you want to give your best effort to try to maximize your potential. And if I know that, being fit off the ice is going to help me to move faster and to better recover, protect myself from injuries, the ones that I can protect, obviously I'll try to do that. So I think right now, since the players are evolving so heavily on like strength and physical and powerful, they have all these guys like on a combines, they lift crazy amount of weights. They're super fast. They're super strong. I think goalies have to do the same, in my opinion, obviously within the, specification for goalies, but they need to do that too, in my opinion, because it does help. And the number one thing is to prevent injuries, right? Like flexibility, all those things that I'm sure that I'm not the only one saying this, but range of motion, flexibility is the key, like being powerful in the, really stretched out situation when you're like half a split coming back, having strong growing score, but you can learn that on the ice, but it's going to give you another layer of expertise when you do it off the ice, and it's going to help you only. So I think the physical part is, really, really important. I think it's, you need to stay strong. And, I tried to, obviously when I came to the league, it was different. I had to learn that, I always thought when I was 18 that I'm working already hard. And then I got to the American Hockey League there. I'm like, oh man, like there's another level. And then I, was able to get to the NHL. There's another level that I can work even harder. So I always try to raise the bar and continue doing and continue improving. So you keep your body healthy, because that's your tool. Like if your body is not capable of doing certain things, doesn't matter how great of a goalie you are, you just won't be able to do it, because you need your body to do it for you when it's needed. So you need to treat it, you need to protect it, you need to, work on it so you improve it all the time.
Talked about your parents, talked about the goalie coach growing up back home in Slovakia. That work ethic that you learned, like there's another level in the AHL, another level in the NHL. Who were some of the guys that, sort of taught you that coming into the league? I mean, or do you just see it, or guys you learn from examples from?
There's a lot of guys that, I played with and, play against, that you just see that they're tremendous hard workers. And you hear stories, even players that play against you. Like I can use the, example of Sidney Crosby right now, right? Like he's a specimen almost. Like it's crazy that he's doing what he's doing at that age. And he's not just because he started doing it last 2-3 years. He's been doing it since he's a kid and never stopped and continue working on it. And that is the key, I think, that the consistency on it, right? A lot of players work on it and then they slow down, and, it can hinder their, careers and the years that they spend, stuff. So I think that's really, really important for me. It was always like Joe Sakic worked really hard. I was privileged to play with him, and it was great. And I was very excited to be able to play with so many great players. Peter Forsberg, all these guys. Like And I just naturally wanted to, when we did the fitness testing, I wanted to try to get on top. I think the competitive spirit doesn't matter if you're a player or a goalie. Obviously, you're playing, maybe I don't know how many players, like 700, 800 players in the NHL, something like that. You're creme de la creme. You're the best in the world. So you try to be the best shape in the world possible. And you try to even, have a competition between like all these things. You can compete against yourself from yesterday. So you keep rising and keep going and keep going. I always felt like when you compete against somebody else who's on the other crease or who is playing somewhere else, you're kind of limiting yourself to where you can go, right? Because you can just be better than yourself and the rest of the stuff, will follow. You don't have to comparing yourself to that guy. Just try to be better than yesterday. Take one day at a time and continue to work on it. I think that's the key, and it's hard and it's challenging, but it is important.
It sounds like a lot of it was self-driven, Peter. Like, were there any mentors along the way, or was it all just come internally for you, these lessons along the way and that drive that you had? And how much of it is just loving being out there? We talked about that with Crosby.
Yeah, I think I wanted to always be a goalie since I was a kid. My dad played maybe like a house league and just know how to skate, and he was more into soccer. And I when I was a kid, I told my dad I want to play goalie, and I actually never played forward. I think I played forward maybe like once in my life as a kid when we had to rotate the goalie, but I said I'll never do it again. But I think the passion, my parents, obviously my mentors, like my parents, my mom and dad, they stood behind me. They give me the opportunity to follow my dream and, to do what I wanted to do. And so they sacrificed a lot for me, and I'm really appreciative of that. Obviously my brother was supporting me too, mentally or emotionally when I needed it. He's awesome and he's just great. So my family really, but then the coaches I met along the way, they taught me too, like, you got to keep working. Nothing is given to you. I think sometimes I feel like, sometimes the moment you start feeling that somebody owes you something, I think that is not great. So I always was raised on a situation that you got to go out there and earn it. You got to be humble. You got to be happy. You got to be thankful. And you can only do it if you love something. If you truly love something, you will go over obstacles. You will push through. You will push through adversities because you do it naturally because you love it. If you just like it, it's going to become a grind. You got to force yourself harder. In my personal opinion, that's what I'm talking for myself. But I just love, coming to the rink and being around the guys. I'm going to get a good sweat, feel good about yourself after in a dressing room after a whole day of work. Like, you work so hard to get yourself going. You get yourself going, and you just keep at it, and I'm not saying that that's going to make it easy, but it's going to be hard, but it's going to push you more. I'm also, I'm also a Christian. So like, I'm not saying that I'm a Christian because I want to do well. That would be a bad thing. But in my opinion, wanted to, whatever gifts I got from God, I wanted to, give my all out every single day. So that's kind of showing my huge appreciation for all that. And not necessarily that I'm going to, I don't know, be the best goalie in the world or something. I wasn't, but, I give it my all. And I think that's the greatest satisfaction. I think that you literally leave everything out there as best you can and just keep going with that. That's it.
I was going to say, like, had like a 15-year plus career in the greatest league in the world. So did pretty well. What do you like? This is a weird one, but not a weird one, but different. Like, what do you love about the position? Like, your passion for it comes through. It obviously drove you. What'd you love about goaltending?
I don't know. I feel like sports in general is like that, but especially goaltending. Like sometimes you do everything well and it doesn't work your way. Sometimes you pitch a shutout and you didn't even feel like you had a good game. Sometimes, like you fell off, you felt, mentally not ready. Sometimes you feel great before you step on the ice. It doesn't work your way. And it's just like a life, it's a constant battle. I love I'm a competitive guy and I love the battle, against the opposition and, try to outwork him, out endure him, like just keep on going, keep on coming back up. Kind of like, I always, my parents always say, like, it's like if you want to do it, go all in. Don't just go half in. Don't just do that. You have to be almost obsessed with it. I think liking it and try to do it is great, but like, are you willing to do everything for it? Like, to live it all the time. So I like the competitive part of the hockey. It's great, especially goaltending. You're there. You need your team to help you. Absolutely. There's no such a thing as a goalie cannot win a game by themselves. We can only tie it. We cannot win it. You need a team, and you need a help, but you're kind of like a last defense, last stuff, so the pressure comes on you, and it's you making mistakes usually back of your net, and you can help out other guys. You can help out. I think like the help part, I think I really like that, so you want to be there for your teammate, for your friend, and and not necessarily for sake of credit, because goalies do get credit, but now it's more of scorers and like the skill guys and doing amazing plays, and goalies are still, obviously everybody knows they're super important, but I think now because we want to see more goals and it's more entertaining for players, nobody wants to see more entertaining for fans, and nobody wants to see a 0-0 hockey game, right? And people want to see goals, they want to see 6-5 games, and but for me, like, try to stay strong mentally when things are not going well and just focusing on the next puck. And it takes a long time till you're able to learn that, because obviously your experience kicks in, because once when you're young, the thoughts process, and it's a lot of mental game. Goaltending, I don't know, I would say 70-30 physical mental. I think mentally 70-70, and I would even go more 80. What separates the great goalies in NHL from like pretty good goalies, what separated them from great goalies, was the mental game, making a save when it counts, when the chips are down, as we say, like, and you go for that. Like, what separates you from that? It's a mental part of the aspect of the game, because you know how to do it. Like, you're playing NHL most of the time, you're one of the elite goalies. Like, what separates you? It's the mental part of the game.
Any lessons that you can share along the way, like in terms of finding that mental part, or guys that you learned something from along? I mean, you played with some all-time greats as well, right? Like, anyone where it's like how he finds the ability, how you found the ability to be ready to play your game in those moments. Like, is there any tips? Is it just experience, or?
It goes hand in hand. I think everybody's different. Stuff that works for someone doesn't have to work on somebody else. Just like I said, in goaltending, like, everybody plays the position a different way. There are obviously some, like kind of basics that are there, and you have to be able to fall back on in case some game's not going well or something. But, the mental aspect of the game, it comes down to personality and who you are as a person. I think everybody has different stuff, what kind of anchors them down in the situation when everything seems to go spiral. And
it's a matter of sort of figuring out what yours is, what your anchor is.
Yeah, I think knowing yourself and knowing what works for you is very, very important, in my opinion, personally. Because like, I've tried over my career, I remember tried to do stuff what Carey Price did and all that stuff. It didn't work for me. It works for Carey, it works for, I don't know, Jonathan Cuega, Andrei Vasilevsky, like, Patrick Roy. Everybody has their own things, because we're all different people. We all bring a different element of goaltending and understanding of the game to the game. So, because we're all different. So I think understanding and trying to figure out what drives you, what anchors you down in a situation when you see like it's falling apart and you have to hold it together in the middle of the game and all that stuff. And, I think that's something very important. Like, I think, once you understand it, then you kind of going to calm down much easier. Because if you're just doing that, somebody told you to do it, and it's not what naturally comes to you, it can work for a little bit, but it can backfire and even make a bigger problem. So I think, in my opinion, is to knowing why, like, who you are as a person, why you wanna, like, how do you stop yourself from overthinking stuff? How do you stop yourself from, blaming somebody else? How you stop yourself from really looking in the mirror honestly and try to use that energy, that, like, kind of disappointment because you're not playing well as you should, but use that energy to, like, improve and continue grow as a person, and trusting the process, right? Like, trusting the process that you've done these saves thousands of times. You just have to do it in a game. But now how you do it, it's You have to know yourself, because I think as a goalie, it's the battle within a battle. It's a battle within the battle of like battling the team, obviously, and everything else ahead of you, but you're kind of battling your own thoughts too sometimes, and that they kind of creep in, and I think that's important to knowing yourself.
That's great advice, because we talk about goalies. There is no one way to play the position. There are foundations and things that apply. I've never thought of it from the mental side, right? Like that you really, it's as unique as the position itself in terms of how you manage those things. I love that lesson. Did you just come to that over time? Was it somebody that guided you to it, or?
No, I mean, I would say like experience over time, trying stuff, obviously like, you have your, your favorite goalie as a kid, and you try to, every kid copies the favorite goalie. Yeah. Everybody does.
Who was yours? I got to ask.
Like I was blessed to play with, not play, but be in a camp with Patrick Roy. He was one of them. Marty Brodeur, Mike Richter, all these guys were my favorites from back in 90s and, early 80s. Like late 80s. So they were my kind of like, so you try to do the same things. You try to like, copy the way they do. And we didn't have much NHL when I grew up on a TV. We just had a Power Week. That's called Power Week back in the day. And it was like a 25-minute clips. And, I VHS it, I recorded it, and I play it over and over again. And I just tried to, we didn't have an access to that many things. So, but then eventually you realize like there's certain things that work, certain things that don't work for you. You have limitation of physical limitation. Everybody's different. Everybody has different mobility of groins and mobility of back and all that stuff, strength and, understanding like, and again, it's the same thing in hockey, and the best goalies understand who they are. Physically and mentally, they know what stuff they need to do. Bigger goalies have to be great positioning. They might get away with playing a little bit deeper. Smaller goalies have to do something else. If they're fast, they have to play to their strengths. Everybody's different, right? But I think mental part is same, right? So you learn over the course of a career, like, and it's something that the kid needs to understand what drives him. Where is that switch? And it's very, very difficult because it's growing up, right? We keep growing until we die one day as a human beings, right? So we keep learning experiences. But if, the ex-players and that they lived in a similar situation can help out the kids, kind of like give them tools to like find that, that sweet spot earlier that would benefit them as a players and try to reach their potential they can reach.
Okay, so from VHS tapes recording Patrick to walking into a training camp with him, like, do you remember what that was like?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I asked him to sign my card. I was a rookie. I just got drafted, and I think that was his like second to last year before he retired, and he was great to me. I have nothing bad to say about Patrick. He was awesome. He was very helpful. Like he helped me with like he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, why are you tying your pad so tight, make it looser." Like he gave me, so I appreciate it. He was really awesome. Like talked to me, and we're split into 3 teams, and I was in a team with them. And one of my first games, my first ever game that I played, an exhibition game, I was paired up with him, and he started the game, and we're up 1-0 when he left halfway through, and then I went in, we lost 6-1. It wasn't great. And I was very disappointed and, very, kind of disappointed and upset. And, he was really great about the whole thing. He talked media asked him a question or whatever, but I just remembered that he said great things, about me. And, he was, just the small things, like it wasn't like a huge dogs that he pulled me on the side, but I just appreciate how he carried himself around me. And he helped me a lot. So, especially with me, like him being my idol, like it was great.
You played with other guys. Obviously, we talked about Pricer, Bassey, Quickie. Was there any point you talked about your game, knowing your game mentally and on the ice? Could it be at times on the ice with them, like were there times you tried different things, or it crept into your game from watching them all the time, and you had to be like, "Oh, hey, I like this, it works," or "Ooh, I got to be careful, I can't be that guy."
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think there are certain things that
human nature.
Yeah, you subconsciously, like when you're even practicing, you always, when you take a shot and you look on the other side and you just follow the play and you see what they're doing, that's why I think it's hugely important, the work ethic of, I think, both goalies that are, they're watching each other constantly, right? So if I remember when I was in juniors, I had Andy Kyoto, who's a goalie coach now, and and he's a great guy, and we always push each other without even knowing it, because I looked on the other side and I saw Andy going super hard and doing extra, so that forces me. I was like, man, I'm not gonna get outwork here, so I'm gonna go. Like it's like visually what you see, right? Like if you see a guy who is not doing stuff, you can subconsciously like, oh, okay, I'm better than him. Like he's getting scored on every shot. So I think it's like that natural thing that you push each other. So I did try stuff that I saw in Pricer's game and I saw in Quickie's game, even Bassi's game, but unfortunately I couldn't do the stuff because they're I tried it, and after a while I'm like, I can't do that. That's not gonna work for me. So I gotta kind of tweak it a little bit.
Like for most of us, if we tried to do what Bassi does, we'd end up in a full body cast. You actually probably had the flexibility to pull it off.
No, he is way more flexible than me, and thank God I'm still pretty flexible. But he's a specimen. But same thing's Quickie. Like it's an incredible, and Carey Price, the way he skates, like he's a big man, strong man, but the way he was skating made saves look easy, and his eye track and all that stuff that he does, like being in the right position, reading the play, like all these things you wanna learn from the guys there on the other side, that they're like like the titans of the games, and they're really good. So but I always say, like, you can learn something good from everyone. It doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter if it is an American Hockey League goalie, NHL goalie, like everybody brings certain things that I think, if you want to keep studying all the time and keep learning the game and keep improving, don't just, sometimes I feel like it's important that we as a human being, because, my dad told me that just because you play NHL doesn't mean that you can't learn from somebody somewhere else, right? Like it's yes, NHL is the best league in the world, but you can always constantly learn. And I'm trying to get the same approach as a coach. I constantly learn from coaches that I have, and they're obviously they're not goalie coaches, but the way they prepare for the game, the way they see the game, they understand the game. And, I think understanding the systems and everything else can help the goalie to, read the play a little bit better. And, it goes hand in hand. So you can always improve as a person, as a goalie coach, and obviously as a goalie when I played too, with all the stuff. So that's the approach, I wanted to do. So it's not easy, because sometimes you get caught up in a situation in a moment, but it's, again, just like the mental side. You want to have an anchor that like brings you down. Okay, let's keep working here. It doesn't matter what happened. Doesn't matter if you had shutout. Doesn't matter if you're letting 5 on 20 shots or 15 shots. You just keep working every day, all the time. Your work ethic shouldn't change based off where you are, who you are, how many wins you have, how many losses you have. You should keep working every single day, because if you're only working when you're not winning, sooner or later, when you start winning, you got to continue working, because you got to improve.
I had one last one, but I think you probably just answered it. Was that your anchor, that work ethic that inspired teammates? Because especially at times where you weren't the number one, how do you get guys to play for you? How do you do that job in a way that inspires teammates to be better?
That's a really hard one, because when you're not playing well, and you got sent down to minors, or you're being a backup, you're not playing many games and things are not going well, thoughts starts racing and everything else. I think it's, I had I had a coach in on Ontario, Dusty Emu. Dusty Emu.
Know Dusty Emu really well. He's from the area here.
Yeah, so Dusty Emu was my goalie coach in
Ontario, right? Right.
Right before that. So St. John's, Newfoundland, I got sent down to minors after 9 years in the NHL, and I won 0 games in 20 starts. I was 0-16-3 or something like that. And that was my contract year. So I still worked hard. I still worked really hard, and I still wanted to be first guy on the ice, last guy on the ice. My work ethic didn't change. And, I think Dusty told me that, it's like, you gotta appreciate and be thankful where you are. And that was the biggest thing for me, because I think at that moment, kind of wanted to get back to NHL. So I kind of lost the vision of, okay, I'm in NHL. that is my NHL right now. I got to play it like it's my NHL. But I was just trying to like get back up and watch the other games and compare myself to other stuff and other goalies. And it was a difficult year. I didn't have a contract. And the next year, Nestor went to LA and I didn't have anywhere to go. And luckily, like, it wasn't even because of him. They gave me like a tryout, like just like, camp and everything else. But somehow everything, I had completely different mindset because it could have been my last year. So, I prayed. I basically said, to God, like, it could be my last time walking in an NHL dressing room. I might never play again in NHL because I don't have the stats. I don't have the resume right now. So there's a lot of turnaround. And I basically just went there with like, I'm going to enjoy every single moment, be thankful to whatever I got. If I don't get any games, I don't get any games. I still got to go on the ice, still got to enjoy everything else. And it always felt like because I was thankful where I am and, for the opportunity, that made me so much mentally more stronger than if I was trying to find, at least for me personally, like help from somewhere else and everything else. I just realized that my approach was completely different. And thank God it worked out. Like somehow I ended up playing in Ontario, everything worked out and I ended up having 42 wins. And and everybody keeps asking, like, what happened? What did it change? Like your training, your diet, your mental coach, your skill coach, like what happened? I'm like, no, it was just my approach. And I think honestly, so that's what Dusty kind of told me is like, you gotta just appreciate where you are, be thankful to what you have, because there is probably 10,000 other kids that would give their left arm to be in your situation. So once you do that, I think you subconsciously just work so much harder because you don't even think about working harder because you're so happy that you are on the ice. You're just going to do everything. And it's hard, but you're still going to do it. So that helped me a lot. I think they understand. That was my anchor, to like appreciate where I was, be thankful where I came from and where I am right now. It doesn't matter if it's AHL, NHL, like you're somewhere where some other guys would love to be in your position and they're never going to get that chance or never either good enough or maybe, God forbid, they're hurt or something. So I think that's very good. So I was just thankful to God that I was able to still play and be there. And, I was able to play another, I think 3-4 years in NHL, 4 years, 5 years in NHL. So that was a big thing for me. So that is for me. At least that worked for me. Doesn't have to work for anybody else, but that worked for me.
That's a fantastic lesson, a great way to end this. Peter, thank you so much for all your time. Great, we finally got to do this. I enjoy every time we chat, but we've never had enough to actually sit down and do it this way. And I know there are a lot of people that are going to listen to this and take a lot of great lessons from it. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
So I remember he was partners with Andy Chiodo, St. Michael's Majors in junior. We'd go watch them in the little bandbox when they were in the OHL. It was, what a great tandem they were with each other.
And I think he talked about that in the interview. Yeah. We did this one a few weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure he brought up, like, if you think about all the guys he played with at the very, like, there's quite a long list, and those are two guys that have become great coaches, Andy and Peter. Yeah.
And Budaj always had Ned Flanders on his mask.
Oh my goodness!
Always remember, it was the staple.
And I remember asking him during his playing days about that, and I think he kept that to himself a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think it had relation to his faith.
Yeah, and I didn't ask him this time. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Chance for part 2. We'll just lead with Ned Flanders. Oakley dokley.
Oakley dokley. That's Hutch. Hutch is an Oakley dokley type guy, isn't he?
Really?
No. Yeah. No, he's pretty positive.
I feel very much more Homer-esque these days, but
really?
No.
I think so.
Maybe it's just relative to our group. You're more Oakley dokley in our group than the Woody and I would be.
The two F-bomb kings over here?
Yeah.
Okay, boys. I'll take on Flanders.
You do it?
Sure. I'll be Flanders. No problem.
You were born for this.
Yes.
Quite literally with your dad.
That is true. My father is a clergyman, so there you go.
Okay, what's your favorite Olympic sport outside of hockey? Hutch?
Winter? We got to go winter, I'm assuming?
Winter, yeah.
Okay.
that you just find yourself watching? Maybe it's not your favorite sport, but you every 4 years you end up watching this sport and it stays on.
It probably not on many people's list, but I just love both doing very poorly and watching cross-country skiing. I was in grad school and my supervisor asked me if I like cross-country skiing. I said yes. He took me off to the trails. I'd never heard of this skating technique that they all use. And he said, well, let's just go over here. And he took me over to this trail that was called the Olympic Trail. And I had a very, very long day, but I grew a huge respect for that sport. Unbelievable athletes. And I studied exercise physiology, and they are obviously some of the best trained athletes on the planet. So yeah, I love cross-country skiing.
Cross-country skiing, the way they do it now, is that the stride is very similar to a goalie skating with pads on. The way you actually skate. And I'm not joking about that.
You're not far off, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that with or without the guns?
Oh,
That's
so
biathlon.
Biathlon is awesome too. Like the fact that you can bust your gut at absolute breakneck speed and then suddenly calm that heart rate to be able to fire a weapon. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but there's a strategy in biathlon. You never want to be leading coming down the stretch.
Because the guy behind you just shoot you?
Yeah. It's against every other sport.
You're funny.
See, this is why when we went up to the north for my bachelor party 25 some odd years ago, we just played hockey on the frozen pond outside the cabin we went to. Biathlon would have been real trouble. Yeah, he's ahead. Just shoot him.
What sport do you find yourself watching?
Speed skating.
Yeah.
Especially the short track stuff. Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy how good athletes they are. It's also like kind of like it can be a little NASCAR-esque. And then probably if I'm just, chilling out on the couch, maybe with some adult beverages and some unhealthy snacks, the Canadian in me will go for a little curling.
I love watching the curling now because I don't get this Season of Champions on TSN on my television every February and March with the provincials and then the Scotties and the Brier. So I have the curling on every chance I get over the next couple of weeks. But the freestyle aerials is something that I'll watch nonstop, just because it's such the height of it and the drama and the potential for crash. So there's a little NASCAR in it. But man, oh man, they do things that I never thought were possible.
My favorite. Now we got one last little one, Darren, before we say goodbye. Favorite thing to cover at the Olympics for you, because you've been there.
Yeah, for a Winter Games, figure skating was because I did 202, and that was Peltier and Soleil. So that will stay with me forever. That part of it, and then there's the good part, the non controversial aspect, but figure skating is a really cool one because they're always just. There's such a fine line there, and we always have so much hopes as Canadians for medals in that sport.
So 2002 Olympics, I was actually busy getting married. I took that break off, so different kind of work.
That was controversial.
I'm sure your wife loves to hear that you call it work.
Yeah. Make sure you tag her. 2010, obviously covered the hockey, but my favorite part of it was after all the press center sort of packs up, I was left to sort of just a couple of people behind, me obviously being here from Vancouver, covering the Paralympics. And just the stories and the determination of some of those athletes and it wasn't always just about results, although the results were important, but the stories were just it was remarkable. That's one of my favorite memories of covering. Like, number one is obviously covering the gold medal game in 2010 and Crosby's famous goal, with all due, apologies to Ryan Miller. But covering the Paralympics after was one of the, from a media journalism standpoint, was one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, I cheered a media row in 2010 when we went. I wasn't working the gold medal game, Canada, US, Ryan Miller, Sidney Crosby. I was there using my accreditation, and I jumped up and cheered. I don't complain. I don't apologize for that.
See, we didn't even know each other back then.
You probably would have yelled at me. Hey,
I was with
gotta stay neutral.
I was with the Associated Press at the time, so we were very much about neutrality. We were the hardcores.
Tell me you didn't give a little pump, though.
This is a story for another day, but you can't. You can't get caught up emotionally in the results when you're on deadline, or you'll never be able to do your job.
Liar. No, you both have lost credibility with me today.
Why's that?
You didn't know guys were turning in skates after one twirl.
And I don't cheer in the press box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still can't believe that one. I mean, I believe you, but I'm shocked by it still.
Good market for slightly used, though.
No kidding.
No wonder all these like the little online pop-ups are killing it with like the pro return stuff.
I also know players that will use brand new laces every game or every skate.
Well, of
practice.
course, if you got new skates every time, you better have new laces.
No. Guys that will use the same pair of skates, but they put new laces in their skates for every practice and every game.
Okay, so I got a question for you.
That's a lot of work.
I was gonna say, do they put new laces in every game, or does somebody on the staff
have to do it? They're the ones putting the laces in.
Okay, that I admire that. If somebody else is
because wasn't it you told us that there's guys in the show now who don't even tape their own sticks?
I've never seen that.
I haven't seen that either.
I heard that one recently from somebody that guys are now just handing their sticks over to a trainer, asking them to get done. I'm glad you haven't seen it, Darren, because that was pretty disappointing.
I enjoy that process. I would think they enjoy that process.
Most people do, yeah.
There's nothing like taping up a practice stick, warm-up stick.
For your warm-up stick, do you take the previous tape off, or do you just tape over the tape that's there for your warm-up stick?
Come on.
Just to make that warm-up stick last longer.
Of course I take the tape off. I'm not an animal here, Darren. I'm not a criminal. Like, what are you talking about? Of course I take the old tape off. It's a warm-up stick. It's not like you have to treat it with more respect than that. Now I'm disappointed in you.
White or black?
White, always.
Can't remember the last time I used black tape, to be honest.
Yeah. White tape.
Probably teens.
Mm.
Probably because they hadn't invented white tape yet. Once they did, I was right in.
How do we get the tar out of the tape? Let's bleach it. That'll make it better.
Think about that.
I have no idea how they make tape.
As we say goodbye, that was a good shot. That was a really good line. It's InGoal Radio, the podcast presented by the Hockey Shop. Source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Let us know what your favorite part of the Olympic kits or the Olympic hockey tournaments. Love to hear from you as we work our way to the games of Milan Cortina.